Good evening, folks. This is Deb. So we're going to touch base on a couple of topics tonight. Um, let's talk about one of the seven deadly sins, and we're going to talk about, in specific, envy. So let me read you the definition of envy, because it's not simple jealousy. Okay, resentment or sadness at another's good fortune, coupled with the desire to have it for oneself, and often includes a desire to diminish the other person's happiness or success. That's the definition of envy. And we've been saying that these women in the WNBA have been jealous of Caitlin Clark. I think they've been envious of Caitlin Clark, quite frankly. Now, let's talk about this, okay? Because Caitlin Clark is 23 years old. She turned 23 in January. And she is not only under the microscope here in the United States, but she is under a microscope all around the world because she has literally redefined not just women's basketball, but women's sports on an international level. And the reason she has gotten to this point is not because she calculated it and planned it. It's because of what she has done on the court. We can't continue to pretend that Caitlin Clark isn't a generational player, because that's the only reason that Caitlin Clark has achieved what she has achieved to date. Okay? And yet, we have not only players in this league who take pot shots at her verbally, not just publicly on videos, but on social media. I can't tell you the garbage on TikTok. I won't even follow the stuff on TikTok. They have AI videos of her out there with fake voices saying stuff she would never say in a million years. Okay? She has never, in all of the time she has been in this league, a year and a half now, had one negative thing to say about another player in the WNBA. And that courtesy has not been extended to her by a lot of people in the WNBA. Okay? Let's take Angel Reese. Angel Reese has taken numerous pot shots at Caitlin Clark over the last year and a half. She even followed around the court, brandishing her championship ring because Caitlin Clark didn't win a championship in college. Well, you know what? You know who else didn't win a championship in college? Larry Bird. Magic Johnson did against Larry Bird, but I never witnessed Magic Johnson chasing Larry Bird around the court, waving his ring at him. Okay? Only petty little envious women would do that. Not that Caitlin Clark really cares. We not only have envious little players, but we have an upper echelon of management in the WNBA who completely blew this whole Caitlin Clark thing. They could have built an entire campaign around Caitlin Clark had they had the wherewithal to do so. It's not just that they, didn't have an advertising agency to get it done. It's just that they didn't have the management directing the advertising agency to do it. Again, I'm going to say it. Read Christine Brennan's book. They could have had all of the players prepared for Caitlin Clark's entry into the league. Certainly, the players must have seen it coming. Do they not pay attention to what's going on in college? They came out of college. There's people coming after Caitlin Clark. There's people coming after Paige Beckers. But nobody is like Caitlin Clark. Nobody achieved what Caitlin Clark did. And nobody has achieved what Caitlin Clark did as a rookie. Paige Beckers may break a couple of those records. She already has. She's not going to break 62 of them. At least not this year. And Caitlin Clark would have continued to break records this year. In fact, she has already broken a couple of records, in spite of the fact that she's only really played 11 to 12 games this year, because she's been injured the majority of the season. And you know what? It's easy to take pot shots at somebody when they're down and out, and that's what people are doing. Because they're classless mostly. But Caitlin Clark has not just brought fans into the league who care about Caitlin Clark, although many of us do. There are people, even though she's injured, who are continuing to watch the WNBA. All the games. All of these girls, these women, are getting more attention in the media now than they ever had before Caitlin Clark. And instead of using that to uplift themselves in the league, they're squandering it by pissing and moaning about the fans. Napheesa Collier is the latest. This is what Napheesa Collier said the other day. It's getting so toxic in our league, just hatred out there towards other players, not just Angel and Caitlin. I feel like we are trending in a bad spot with that. Angel and Caitlin, like she cares about Caitlin Clark. All of a sudden, Caitlin's her buddy now. The other night, we had a fan thrown out of a game for laughing at the fact that one of the players' wigs fell off onto the floor. Now, I don't understand the wig thing in professional basketball. I don't. I mean, it's not like we're walking the red carpet. We're out there sweating, getting smelly, playing sports. So I don't understand the need for all of that stuff. But hey, if they want to wear it, that's fine. But if it's going to fall off your head in the middle of a basketball game, you should be expecting someone to laugh. I would have laughed. But no, that wasn't good enough. You know, it couldn't be that we could let that person laugh. We had to have all of the players pointing at the person who laughed so that they were thrown out of the arena after paying good money to watch this game. And then all of the sublime little snowflakes came out of the woodwork the other night after the Fever fans booed DeWanna Bonner. Well, you know what? The Fever fans had the right to boo DeWanna Bonner because the Fever fans believe that DeWanna Bonner pulled a fast one on the Fever, and so do I. And by the way, booing is part of sports. In fact, the Phoenix Mercury coach had no problem with it and said it's part of sports. It's part of sports. As fans paying money, you get to boo other players. You get to boo other teams. It has always been that way. Hell, when Jacoby Ellsbury left the Red Sox for the Yankees, the first game he came back into Fenway Park, they booed him. And he was a Red Sox player. He didn't go get in his underwear in a twist. The continual attack on the fans is turning people off. Just as, I'm sorry, folks, the continual attack on Caitlin Clark are turning people off. The constant physical abuse of Caitlin Clark on the court so that she cannot play her game is turning people off. They are paying money to see Caitlin Clark play basketball, not to watch a bunch of envious women have WWE events in the middle of a basketball game. And Caitlin Clark, make no bones about this, is the reason for the big fat TV contract. She's the reason that there are now more and more people in the stands across all of the teams. She is the reason that all of these players are now getting more press than they ever got before 2024. And instead of embracing that, not only the league, but the players are biting the hand that's feeding them because they're too stupid to do anything else. The league had no plan for Caitlin Clark's entry into its realm. They could have capitalized on this everywhere. And instead, they dropped the ball, as it were. And they continue to drop the ball. This is how they handle it. Every time someone brings up Caitlin Clark's name, you got to bring up another player's name. Every time you ask Stephanie White something about Caitlin Clark, she's got to mention somebody else. Her own coach. Now, I'm sure she's being told to do that, probably by Kelly Crosskopf, who's being told by Kathy Engelhardt, shit runs downhill. People have called Caitlin Clark the Golden Goose. They're roasting the Golden Goose, is what they're doing. The only player I know that calls it like it is Sophie Cunningham. She's not afraid to say it. If anybody watched last night's video, I know it's probably dated August 1st because I put it up late, but it was actually the last video of July about Sophie Cunningham and her feelings about Caitlin Clark. It's the one I posted just before the one that I'm posting tonight, which is this one. She's not afraid to say it. If anybody thinks that we would be here, I'm paraphrasing this, of course, because I'm not going to use her terminology. It was excellent, though. She's no holds barred. She doesn't care if she swears. Okay? I don't either, but in deference to other people who might be insulted by it, I'm not going to. But she didn't have a problem with it. Just watch the video and you'll see for yourself. The Caitlin Clark effect is real. And it could have been used for so much more than what it's being used for right now. They were asleep at the switch. They remain asleep at the switch. Hell, the Indiana Fever is asleep at the switch. They're not handling it any better than the league is. Kelly Crosskopf has no clue about marketing. And you know what? I spent 35 years in marketing, advertising, and public relations, and I'm not going to tell her what to do because she's not paying me, okay? She's not paying me to do it. But if she thinks she's going to build a brand with the Fever that's like Apple without having an anchor to pound into the ground, she's dreaming, because that's not how it worked for Apple either. She can look it up. The WNBA is young, but they've had 28 years to learn some stuff, and they have failed to do so. Okay? They have failed to do so. And while people talk about the fact that the WNBA is still losing money, and that is true, a lot of that has got to do with the fact that women in this country, like it or not, are second-class citizens to this day. We have not come a long way, baby. We'd like to think we have, but clearly we haven't. Judging from the climate in this country across a spectrum of issues beyond sports, women still are not respected. But I will tell you this. There's a way to carry yourself so that you get respected, and there's a way to carry yourself so that you're continuing to look like people who don't deserve the respect. Let's go back to the All-Star game for a moment, okay? During the press conference with Sabrina Ionescu, where Kelsey Plum took a shot at Team Caitlin, not showing up for a meeting to discuss whether they were all on the same page. Sabrina Ionescu's face said it all. The look on her face was not shock. It was an I'm pissed off look, because Sabrina Ionescu was on Team Caitlin. And Sabrina Ionescu said in the middle of that press conference something that doesn't need to be brought up. She said it right to Kelsey Plum. And it was later revealed that they knew they wouldn't be able to get together before the All-Star game. And they actually stopped by Team Caitlin's locker room to discuss being on the same page before the game. Kelsey Plum was lying, period. And she was called out by a writer who revealed that they had met, indeed, to make sure they were all on the same page. All of this kind of stuff, that's where the toxicity is. The players had better wake up, okay? They had better wake up and start respecting the fans in this league. They're the ones that are paying the money to come and see you, okay? They're paying money to come and see you. It's okay to throw them out of an arena when they do something egregious or they say something insulting, something racist. But all of this nonsense, like the game between the Sky and the Fever, where Caitlin Clark went in and fouled Angel Reese, and it was a hard foul, but she was going for the ball. That kind of stuff happens. And then the Angel Reese and then the Sky accused the Indiana fans of racism, and resulting in this giant investigation that turned up absolutely nothing, because there was absolutely nothing to turn up. That stuff, that's the stuff that gives black eyes to the WNBA. Not reining in your referees gives a black eye to the WNBA. Allowing one player to be physically pushed around, battered, thrown to the floor, simply because she's a better player than the rest of the players, is the stuff that gives the WNBA a black eye. And Kathy Engelhardt saying that they understand that they need to do something about the referees. We're on it. What does that mean? Show us something concrete that proves that you're on it. The fans are spending the money. They're spending the money to be entertained. They want to see the players play their game. And they really want to see Caitlin Clark play her game, not get beaten up. Now, you want to defend against Caitlin Clark so that you throw her off rhythm? That's fine. But to allow 5 and 6 fouls to go on one play is absurd. To have players from teams come in while her back is turned and slam her to the ground and have absolutely no repercussion is absurd. To have her hip checked off the court when the ball isn't even in play, that's absurd. That should be an immediate ejection. That game not upgraded the following day. That's meaningless. And trust me, it won't stop with Caitlin Clark. Once you allow people to start getting away with this stuff, it will continue. The WNBA players had better start appreciating their fans. And the WNBA brass better figure out how to capitalize on Caitlin Clark. Because I promise you, she may be down this year, but she's not out. Caitlin Clark has faced adversity in her life before and in her playing career before. Read the book. Read Christine Brennan's book. She will come back stronger and better next year. And you're going to have to deal with that. I will talk to you all later.